All right, so with adding and subtracting decimals, the biggest thing with this is if you have graph paper, if you want to use graph paper, if you're somebody whose handwriting gets in the way or you don't line things up, you're definitely going to probably want to use graph paper or something like that. So we are going to add these in the same manner that we add whole numbers, except we want to line up by the decimal. Okay, and then we want to put any place fillers in like we said. Again, if you, addition is commutative, so you can switch the order. Subtraction is not, so just, be cognizant of that. So if I have this one, 4.39, I always exaggerate my decimals because that's what I'm using to line things up. I have 18.8. I'm going to put a 0 here just so that it doesn't, like right here, you don't really need a placeholder because we've done ones that have had uneven place values in the whole number part, so you know what that looks like. But ultimately, in the decimal section, we want those to be lined up, and we want there to be an even amount of them. So 9 plus 0 is 9. 8 plus 3 is 11. Carry the 1. We're going to drop that decimal down. We can do it right away, just like with the division piece last video. We could pop it up right away. 8, 4, and 1 is 13. Carry the 1, and then I get 2. So my answer is 23 and 19 hundredths. All right. For number 2, we have 7.52. I'm going to drop the money signs until the end. I do want to put them back. So like, I'm going to want a money sign here. Okay, but I don't want a money sign up here where it's kind of muddling my problem. So money always has 2 digits, always after the decimal. It's always the hundredths, and every single one should have that. So we're good to go there. 2 plus 7 is 9. 7 plus 5 is 12, and I carry the, my screen jumped, sorry. I carry the 1. I can drop that decimal down on my way over. 7, 1, and 1 gives me 9, and then I drop the 1 down as well. So my answer is $19.29, or 19 and 29 hundredths. All right, now 3 throws a little bit of a wrench into things because I have a fraction. I can't add a fraction and a decimal, so I basically have to come over here and do what I did in the last video. So I'm going to have, 3 point something, and I'm going to add to it 1.08. But I need to find out what that something is after. So I'm going to take the 3 over 4. I'm going to say the 4 goes to the outside. The 3 goes in. I can't divide, so I need to add the decimal and the 0. So 4 goes into 37 times, and I get 28. I subtract it. I get 2. I'm not done because I still have a remainder. I add another 0, and I bring it down. I get 20, and 4 goes into 25 times. I bring down the 20, and I subtract it out, and I get 0, which is what I needed to happen. So ultimately, on the left is my work for my scratch work. But that's important to show. You need to show how you got there. So this 0.75 is actually going to jump over here, and it's 3.75. And then we're going to add up and down vertically. So 8 plus 5 is 13. 7 and 1 gives you 8. Put that decimal there. 3 plus 1 gives you 4. So my answer is 4 and 83 hundredths. My next one is going to be 165.4 and 73.61. I'm going to put my placeholder of 0 right there. I'm still adding, and I want to add straight, vertically. I get 1, 10, drop my decimal, 9, 13, and 2. So I have 239 and 100th. Now you notice I caught myself. It's not 239. The only place you would say the and is right here. So 239 and 100th. It's sometimes a habit to add that word and in, but mathematically the only place you can is where that decimal is. All right, so now we're on the subtraction. We're going to do the subtraction the exact same way as we did subtraction with whole numbers. We just have to worry about dropping our decimal, but regrouping is going to all be the same. So we have 3.68 minus 1.74. We want to make sure we line up with the decimals because that's still true, and that's still our process. So we're going to start subtracting from right to left. So 8 minus 4 is, I can't write with an eraser, 4. I cannot take the 7 away from the 6, so I borrow from the 3, I turn it into a 2. The 1 comes over to make that 16. 16 minus 7 gives me 9, and 2 minus 1 gives me 1. I dropped my decimal as I was working over, and I get 1 and 94 hundredths. So for this one, I have 104.06 minus 15.80. I'm going to drop my decimal right away, and I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. I can't take away 8 from the 0, so I have to borrow from the 4. So that becomes 10 minus 8, which is 2. Cannot take the 5 from the 3, so I have to borrow. Now I can't borrow from the 0, so I borrow from the 1. The 1 becomes a 0, the 0 becomes a 10, but I'm not done because I needed to get back to that 3. So the 10 becomes a 9, and the 3 becomes a 13. So 13 minus 5 is 8. And please go back and rewind that if you want to watch that process again. 9 minus 1 gives me 8, and 0 comes down. So I have 88 and 26 hundredths. All right, so I have 116.7 minus 32.82. This is definitely one that you would need that placeholder. Okay, because you have to have a decimal for the top and the bottom for each place value. So I can't take away 2 from 0, so I borrow from the 7, I make it a 6, and that becomes 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. I borrow from the 6 and make it 5, and I get 16. So 16 minus 8 is 8. I drag down the decimal. I borrow from that to give this 15. Oh, did I need to? I didn't need to. Sorry, back up. All right, so 5 minus 2 is 3. And here's where I need to borrow because the 3 I can't take from the 1. My brain was one step ahead. So I borrow from the second one, or to the left one. That becomes 0. The 1 right next to it becomes 11, and 11 minus 3 gives me 8. So I have 83 and 88 hundredths. All right, and here I have 14 minus 6.52. The top one, I don't even have a decimal, so I definitely need to place one and add zeros as placeholders, and then I can start, and you know you're going to be borrowing. So we are going to borrow from the 4. We're going to turn it into a 3. We're going to make this a 10. But again, I'm not done because I have to make it all the way back to the rightmost column. So the 10 then becomes 9. And this becomes 10. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. The decimal goes there. We borrow from the 0 and make this 13. And 13 minus 6 gives me 7. And I have 7 and 48 hundredths. All right, so go back, practice, rewatch, review, try the independent, and I'll see you back here for multiplication.